Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to Mars, more specifically, Surviving Mars. They recently released, City Builder? I don't really know if that's the correct term. Surviving Mars Simulator is... yes? Maybe? I guess it's kind of a city builder in... yeah, I think city builder is probably the genre I'd put it in. I'm a little bit unsure because it's not really much of a city builder. A colony sim perhaps would be more apt, I guess. Yeah, kind of. Colony sim. We'll go with colony sim. So, in this colony sim, I just noticed my wind farm is not spinning. Oh, it's because it's destroyed. Well, there you fucking go. Well, not that I particularly need it. Go away. Where you build a colony on Mars, hence the name. And you have to actually make that colony live, which is, it's not as easy as you might think, surviving on, the red planet. By the way, it's somewhat sidetracked here, but do go and read Andy Weir's The Martian. Fucking best book ever. Well, not ever, but it is goddamn good. Really, 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 really good. And, it'll definitely put you in the mood for this game. So, surviving Mars, you have to establish a colony, in which of course there are people. To begin with, all you have are these lovely little robots who wander around the surface, making it, decently inhabitable before the people arrive. The people are stored in domes. First you start with the basic dome, which is pretty small, and one thing I really like is the basic dome is basically suicide. You can't fit enough shit in the basic dome to really keep it going forever, or it's very difficult. So it makes you go for the medium domes and eventually the ultra mega super domes, which are huge. Which I like. It kind of forces you to expand. You, of course, need to provide for your little inhabitants' day-to-day needs. They need food, obviously. They need water, which you can get from most moisture vaporizers. And also by, of course, drilling for water. I've got a little pumping station here. You'll, of course, also need oxygen, which you gain via these moxies. You also, of course, need energy to run all of these things, which you can get via solar panels, via these Stirling generators, via fusion power plants, all kinds of stuff, which you, of course, then store in batteries. Now, you will currently notice that I am currently losing 0.2 power. This is one of the annoying things about the game that might as well touch upon right away, actually. The game doesn't give you anywhere near enough information. Nowhere even close to enough information for you to really figure out what the fuck is actually going on. Now, obviously, you need to fulfill all of these basic needs. Now, oxygen and water is pretty simple, because you can pop over to let's see if I can find it, a water tank, and you'll see, okay, it's full. Now, these are all stored in a central network. I got an hourly production of 26.2 and a total demand of 26.2. Now, that's not entirely correct, because my hourly production is higher than that. It's 36. In fact, it's even higher than that again. But not all of my stuff is actually currently running to full effectiveness.
Research complete.
Which is a bit annoying. I've also got the oxygen, which is hourly production 16, total demand 10. I've got 900 stored up. However, if I go over here and I look at, for example, food, okay, I've got a food production of 126 and a food consumption of 100, except I actually don't. I had a food production of 126 last sol. My food production is actually way, way more than that. Here, this is my food dome. Now, I feed my colonists on a steady diet of soy and potatoes. For no particular reason, but that's what they live off. Once these things pop, they produce something along the lines of 300, 400 food at a time. When you add in the other 3 farms over here, we're looking at, 600, 700. If you add in the additional various food production facilities I've got everywhere, I'm actually producing far closer to 1,000 food than I am 100. So it can be kind of difficult to figure out. Metals production 154. Again, I'm actually producing way more than that across the various areas. Concrete production 0. No, I am actually producing concrete. I'm actually producing quite a lot of concrete because my little droids are constantly turning waste rocks into concrete. So it's really difficult to look at these and figure out if I'm producing enough of the resources I actually need, which can be kind of annoying. Since they don't really... What I would like to see here is like a graph, like a long-term graph telling me, okay, on Sol 190 I produce this much and I use this much, and so on and so on. That would be far more useful. The information aspect could really need some bumping up, speaking of information. Now, another thing here is these drones. Drone load, low. Okay, cool. So that means I don't need all of these drones here, right? Yes, except when the farms pop, I actually need way more drones, and
Funding received.
The game has an interesting... The game is really fucking smart occasionally. Like, when I made this new dome, I just planted down these storage deposits, and the various drones and the little helicopter thingies here, the shuttles, immediately started supplying what I needed to produce this. The same by a water farm here. The moment I smacked down these things to produce the stuff, they were immediately filled up by shuttle carriers, and they filled up just enough to build anything, and just enough to keep it running. Like, the game is really smart with that. It brings you just enough to do what you actually need to do in any given area, which is absolutely amazing. By the way, I really do need some concrete deposits up here, because I'm about to dump down a bunch of waste sites. And that is going to have my little WoW bots go off, gather all of the waste rocks that have accumulated around the water towers, and eventually they're going to turn that into concrete, which is of course used for building. But at the same time, it's really confusing me because the logistical AI seems to be really good, but I've also had colonists literally starve to death meters from the grocery shop. Which just, like, what? Really? And I assume it's because the grocery shop was full. And it's like, okay, so
reported.
There's 8 people standing there, and they just refuse to leave for hours upon hours, while other colonists are literally starving to death meters away. Alright. I mean, that's a little odd. I mean, not to mention the mountain of food that was outside, etc. You know, bringing it back to power, as you can see now I'm currently losing 14.5, but a few moments ago I was losing way less. And again, I don't really have a great way of figuring out how much I need, because the hourly production is not correct. It varies quite a lot, in fact, and the total demand also varies quite a lot. So it's very difficult to get a solid grasp on exactly what I need. Now, a way to get around with that is to store up a bunch of prefabs. Now, these are prefabricated Stirling generators, so I can just plunk down a bunch of those whenever I feel in need, and it is a pretty good idea to just build up a little storage of these, because the game doesn't tell you enough. That is my primary complaint about the game. Usually, when you have a shortage of something, you'll get a little pop-up telling you, you're about to run out of, energy. And you're like, okay, how soon am I about to run out of energy? And the game's just like, now. In fact, 5 minutes ago, your domes are already out of power. I'm like, you could have told me this a few minutes earlier, and maybe I could have done something about it. The user interface needs a lot of work. I mean, this is just not good enough. And another pain in the ass. Okay, so let's say that I've got a drone control station, which is the one controlling the little robots, that need more robots. I can't bandbox them. I can't select multiple robots at a time. If I want to do that, I have to pick one robot, select reassign, go over to the hub I want to reassign it to, click, and I need to do this manually for each and every single drone, which is fucking laborious. There really needs to be an automatic way of doing this, or just a bandbox or something. Now, one workaround, you can actually load the drones onto a shuttle, like I did down here. Alright, see, this one here. So this one's got 30 drones aboard, so I'm going to... Can I get enough space here? No. There. I'm going to dump that down there. That's 30 drones coming from Earth, and when that rocket then goes up back into space again, all of the drones will be attached to this structure, which is, you know, it's a workaround, if nothing else. So, quality of life change is really important. That needs to be the first thing they're working on. A proper graph system would be great, because, again, this is just not good enough. Now, something else they could need to work on is a little bit more information on, you know, cause and effect. It's kind of difficult to figure out exactly what everything does. Like, okay, the infirmary obviously, you know, heals wounded and helps with, you know, sanitary problems. But again, occasionally your people just won't go there. I actually have a couple of crazy people in this colony that they don't want to go to the infirmary. They don't want to go get sanity back. I've even got, like, specialized medical spies like this, and you can see that there are still quite a lot of people that are just not really good in the head. It's really confusing to me, because, again, the logistical AI is really good. Like, I feel I can genuinely trust the shuttle hubs to ferry around the necessary food, the polymer, the concrete, the machine parts, the electronics, to whatever place needs it. I mean, they did a fantastic job with this. Really good. Same with the drones. Like, okay. Malfunctioning cable. Okay, there's a cable spazzing out over here and losing me 4.2 energy an hour. Okay. The nearest drone command is going to send over a drone pretty much immediately to actually repair that, which is fantastic. You know? Let's see if we can speed up the game a little bit. Come on. Oh, don't make me look silly now that I said you're good at this. Oh, no. I think... Is this... There's him on the... Yep, there we are. He went and got the resources, and he wandered off to repair it. I mean, the game does a great job of this, but... Statistics. Please give me statistics. That would be fantastic. Now, that is my main complaint about the gameplay-wise, though. Mars is a fairly large place. You scan various sectors by doing this. You can queue it up to figure out what's in them. For example, resource deposits. Like, we've got a mineral deposit here, metal, 740 metal. We've got a concrete deposit over here. We've got a rare metals deposit over here, which is used for cash. We've also got various water deposits, like this one here. And this is a deep water deposit, which holds 100,000 water. I currently don't have the technology to drill down to it, which is why it's orange. The technology tree here, I'm currently researching. We'll get back to that in a moment. So, you need to scan the surface, you've got buildings to help you do that, and expand to gather more resources to support more guys on the planet. One problem is, the game doesn't really give you any goals. There is a so-called mystery system, which is supposed to give you some goals, but so far I've had one pop-up, which asked me to research 40 technologies, before Sol 100. That was 96 Sols ago. I finished it, and since then... I haven't really heard anything, and so I'm just kind of like, what am I supposed to do? Are there more objectives? I don't know. I've tried a couple other mysteries as well, and they seem to just kind of peter out, or they take incredibly long to activate. Like, Sol 196, this has taken, like, what? Yeah, 8-9 hours of gameplay, and I've had, like, 2 story pop-ups. Which, right now, when I've got a nice big colony and I'm like, building wonders at will, I'm not really sure what the point of continuing to play is, because I've got infinite resources now. The Mohole mine is pumping up rare metals and waste rock, which can be turned into concrete constantly. I'm producing vast quantities of soy and potatoes. And I've got infinite money. I mean, I can just buy whatever I want at this point. I'm not even producing electronics. This is another thing. So, electronics, you can produce 1 electronics for 5 rare metals.
Pipe leak reported.
But you can buy, I think, 5 electronics for that very same price by shipping them back off to Earth and actually buying them on Earth, which is interesting. Apparently, it is cheaper to ship electronics from Earth to Mars than to produce them on Mars, which, alright. Doesn't sound entirely logical to me, but we'll go with it. There's a couple buildings like that just doesn't really make any sense. For example, let's see here. There's the electronics store, this one here. This is a shopping and gaming store which satisfies the need for shopping and gaming amongst your people. It consumes electronics every time somebody purchases something at it, which means this is a ludicrously expensive fucking store to have up. Electronics are expensive and rare and difficult to produce early game, so I don't know why anybody would build this. I mean, the people won't be perfectly happy, but they'll be more than happy enough if you just give them a grocer or an art workshop. Same with the gym. I mean, they have a chance of gaining fit trait, which is nice, but I mean, this takes up a lot of space. You can see here, it takes up quite a lot of space, a full farm's worth of space, which is space much better used for something else, and I can actually just build a lake that does the exact same thing, but is a third as large. Doesn't service as many people, mind you, and you can't make them fit, but when space is at as large a premium as it is on Mars, that matters a lot. And right now, I'm just kind of like, I don't know what else to do. I could, build a tunnel up here, which in fact I am doing. I've gotten a couple of prefab drone things here, which we can put out. One there. And this can actually be a decent way of showing you the AI. So, okay, I need concrete, metals, and machine parts. Right. So, metal, machine parts, and concrete. There you go. Now, we'll speed that up. And we'll pop this. I could, go up on the highlands there, and I could move my wind-generating farms, these things right here. Wind turbines, which gain a bonus from elevation. I could move them all the way up here, and I'd get a pretty hefty 70% elevation boost. I mean, I could do that, but I'm already getting plenty of energy. I mean, I've got ass load of Stirling generators. And the Stirling generators are beautiful because you can open them up like this and double their hourly energy production, which is fantastic. Really nice and versatile. Alright, we'll give that max priority. And you can see they've already delivered a bunch of machine parts that the drones are now using to produce this. I just don't really see the need to continue playing at this point. That's the problem. My community is now more or less self-sufficient, self-sustained, excuse me. And I'm not really getting any more story events. I'm like, okay, I lack the motivation to carry on. I've had a solid 17 hours of fun with the game. Don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but I'm not sure it really has all that much in the way of longevity. I mean, compare this to City Skylines, for example, which constantly gives you something new to play with. You're constantly unlocking new buildings, new ways of zoning things, you're building a bigger city, you need more people, you need more income, you need more of that, more of this, more of that, blah, 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 blah. There's constantly something pushing you forward. Here, after, constructing 2 or 3 domes, I was kind of like, okay, I'm more or less self-sufficient now. What is my reason for expanding? And for a while, I just, kept building, because fun. But, yeah, I don't know. Why are you lazy little buggers sitting around and letting this thing just go full? Oh, it's because the metal thing is full. Okay.
Cable fault
reported. Metal.
Reported.
Metal. There you are. And off they go. Industrious little fucks, I'll grant them that. Right, now it's back to producing stuff. Oh, the potato harvest is about to pop as well, so that'll be fun to watch. Now, there is something else you could do. Like, if you're the kind of guy who really likes a challenge in his gaming, you could go and find a different place to stay, which has different challenges. Now, I'll show you this in a moment. So, there are various, quote-unquote disasters on Mars. There are dust storms, which cover everything in dust, and dust is the reason why you need to maintain stuff. So you see, for example, this one here requires electronic parts to be maintained. The dust storm will just cover everything for ages, and you'll have to eat tons of resources in maintaining everything. I am actually going to need another food storage, aren't I? Because, yeah, the potato farm. The potatoes. Don't worry, we're growing the next batch of soy right now, so it's not going to be a big issue. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes, disasters. There's also dust devils, which are these massive little hurricane things that sweep over the area and cover everything immediately in 100% dust. There are meteor swarms, which is the most common problem here, which is why I got these lasers stationed bloody everywhere, because the meteor storms can last literally for days at a time and can be really, really nasty. Which is also why I've got double piping, I've got, you know, oxygen and water storages at all of my domes, etc. I've got oxygen production at the domes to make sure that even if a pipeline gets burst, and they will get burst a lot during a meteor storm, it can stay alive. I do like that. The fact that you have to think about redundancies on Mars is really nice and, you know, obvious. You're on fucking Mars. It's a hostile as shit environment, you know? But, you know, now that I've gotten to the end of the research tree, okay, I can research this, and I can build yet another wonder. Not that it's a challenge. I mean, I'm producing so much resources now, it's not even funny, and if I were to ever run out of resources, well, I've got a space elevator. I can pop up here, and I can just buy an infinite amount of machine parts, electronics, food, metals, whatever I fucking want, really, and just have it shipped to me. So I've got that much money.
Cable fault reported.
One thing you can do, though,
received.
allow me to save and pop out into the main menu. Yes, thank you very much. One thing, I would like another couple of buildings. So there's a lot of buildings that are kind of redundant, like I've talked about, but we need an all the people's home building. We really badly need. The game has full workshop support, by the way, and modding, so that's great, and we're probably going to get one. Because I didn't have a building to send the old people to. The old people don't work. They just eat food, haul down services, and are genuinely a nuisance. And since you can't turn them into food, you have to take care of them somehow. But they clog up the domes that people are actually working in. Which means that you're going to eventually lose access to the various services, food production, etc. And the dome's going to stagnate. Food is not going to be born. Children, I mean. I'm not eating them, don't worry. Children are no longer going to be born, and there's going to be a huge hassle, and the dome's eventually going to die. Now, since there's not an old people's house to just ship them off to, what I had to do was create the final resting place, which is a small, empty dome where I shipped off all of the old people to die. Which is like, good God, that's a somewhat drastic solution, isn't it? I mean, I get that this is Mars, but couldn't you just let me build an old people's home? The problem is solved now because I researched a tech that allows old people to work. Which I fucking love. It's like, hey, old people, you're a drain on the economy. Go work yourself to death. That's way more humane than simply just leaving them to die. Well, I'm not entirely sure, but at least in the final resting place, I fed them, you know, watered them, gave them oxygen. Which, I don't know which is the harsher fate, honestly. Anyways. Main menu. Right, so. There is no tutorial, by the way. Easy Start is the closest thing you get, and that's not a tutorial. It's just a series of kind of half-assed tips that occasionally do and occasionally don't pop up, so unless you're used to playing Paradox games, yeah, maybe look up some online tutorials or something. Paradox really needs to actually just add in tutorials to their bloody games. How hard can it bloody be, I wonder? Anyways, new game. You now have the entire surface of Mars to play around with. You can select a mission sponsor from very easy ones where you get a ton of funding, ton of research, better price on rare metals, more starting applicants, which are the people you can, pull from Europe to Mars, etc, etc. And you can vary various bonuses like large rocket payloads, 10,000 kilograms, colonists never get earthsick, food supply from passenger rocks increased by 10, rocket synthesizes fuel, so on. Or you could pick something really hard like Paradox Interactive. One starting rocket, 4 millions, rare metal wise 24, discover more breakthrough anomalies, research breakthrough tech crimes to applicants, rockets require more fuel to launch, and so on. You can also pick random. You can pick various traits for your original starting commander, you can pick a logo, and you can pick the mystery. This is, the kind of the story, but I don't know. I mean, I've tried the which one is the artificial intelligence? It kind of just stopped, so I'm not really sure what that does, honestly. I got 2 pop-ups and it stopped. I tried the last war, which also kind of stopped, so I'm like, I'm unsure whether I'm doing something really wrong. I've tried the power of 3 as well, and I'm like, they kind of just stop. And I'm wondering if it just takes an incredibly long time, because the first one popped after 100 in-game souls, which is or 50 in-game souls, and ended after 100. So I'm wondering if I have to wait another 100 souls, that is a lot of hours, and they should definitely increase the frequency of these things by a lot, in my opinion. Alright, once you pick that, you can pick some prefab options on your first rocket, like if you want to have, maybe instead of the, well, you kind of need the moisture primer, otherwise you don't have water. But let's say you want, instead of just 2 Stirling generators, you want to get started making machine parts really early. Actually, you can't. Yeah, you can go here and, okay, let's say I don't need as much polymer. I can now have more drones, less drones, more transport, so on, which is nice. Now, once you've done that, you get to the planet section. You can select any spot here, and you will get a series of parameters. For example, this area has ass tons of metal, but not a whole lot of concrete, so it's got plenty of water. It's not going to have a lot of dust devils, and it's not going to have a lot of cold waves, but meteors and dust storms are going to be a fairly significant issue. You can also see they're relatively flat. Whilst if we go over here, you can see that dust storms are far more dangerous and there's less resources overall. So if you really wanted to challenge yourself, you could do a challenge run. Like, for example, let's find an area with a ton of cold waves. So you have to build heaters everywhere to make sure that you got a constant supply of water. You could do that, which is nice. I mean, there's options. You can also pick these famous locations with various drawbacks and advantages. This is nice. I mean, this allows you to customize your experience, to put it like that, which is really cool. But again, I am kind of struggling to find the reason to play on. This is probably the main, like, okay, let's say you really want to see what dealing with ass tons of dust storms is like. I mean, it's gonna be a pain in the bloody ass, because you're going to have to constantly maintain stuff, which means you're going to constantly have to produce a lot of resources to produce things. Additionally, your oxygen generators and your primary water source, the moisture vaporizers, are not going to be operational. I mean, it's going to be really, really bloody difficult. And these things, again, can last for days. They require serious planning and thought in how to deal with, which is really cool. I think my recommendation for this game would be pick it up in 6 months to a year. You know, give it maybe an expansion, some DLC, and give the mod manager, the modding community, a good bit of time to really work with it, because it's got good modding tools, it's got a great deal of potential. I think that in 6 months to a year, this is going to be a fantastic game with a lot of really cool maps, a lot of really cool buildings, a lot of cool quests, and a lot of incentive to keep playing. So yeah, that's my final recommendation. It's a good, solid start that needs some fine-tuning, definitely needs more information. A statistics window would be absolutely amazing, but it has a really bright future. I think that in a year's time, this could be quite comparable to Cities Skylines, which is really, really quite interesting. I think the primary challenge is going to make building stuff on Mars more interesting, because let's actually go back to that map. Because you're kind of confined. In fact, you're really confined. I mean, space is at a massive premium, because of course you don't have that much space inside these domes. The ultra huge one, of course, you've got a fair bit, but of course they are also really, really expensive to make. Lots and lots of resources. These smaller ones, I mean, that's not a lot of space to build stuff, which of course again means you're limited to certain structures. And since you have to be relatively effective, a lot of structures are also going to feel kinda pointless, which is also a pretty large problem. I need way more fucking fuel. I wish there was a building, for example, that would turn food into, like, smaller packages. You know, a food compressor that makes it into tube food or something. That would be bloody amazing. So many cool things you could build. But since you're limiting quite a lot of these domes, you end up with tons of just empty land. I really think that if you can figure out a way to make the empty land more interesting, have more stuff there, more deposits, for example, one that gives you research, or one that gives you extra power, maybe one that gives you a unique resource that are used to only produce like special things. Like maybe say that a wonder has to have buttfuckium or something, which can only be gained through a special resource that requires a special science route to get through, and special buildings and stuff. You have to build a building to unlock a tech, to unlock another tech, and then you get eventually a wonder which does incredible things, like boost everybody's sanity by 20%, all kinds of stuff like that. That would be really great. I think the game has a lot of potential. I just think it's going to require a bit of time to get there, and I do think it's going to get there. I do already think that the modding community is quite happy with it, and is going to support it, and really, you know, help it grow. So yeah. For me, that's going to be my final conclusion. I recommend the game in 6 months or a year's time. I think it's definitely worth picking up then. Probably, you know, for a little bit cheaper, by the way. I have had a little ad up on the screen for Gamesplanet, which were the ones who provided me with the game to begin with. They're currently having a sale on it, so if what you've seen so far seems to be enough to get you interested, then, you know, go pick it up over there. There will also be a referral code in the description. They will be clearly marked as referral code, and it'll be next to a non-referral code. So, yeah.
Received. It's
gonna be really good, I think. I genuinely do believe this could be a direct challenger, not even really a challenger, but a supplement to City Skylines in the future, and that's a great thing. We need more city builders, or, well, again, city builder, colony manager, I guess. We definitely do need a lot more of those. Oh, and somebody makes use to, I mean, come the fuck on. Anyways, those have been my conclusions and my thoughts on surviving Mars. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.